My dear students, this is our second class on right form of verb. In our last class, we have discussed about the present indefinite tense. Then we have also shown you some signal words which indicate the tense of the verb. Then of course, we have also worked on present continuous tense. Okay, my dear students, here this in this slide you see that there are two sentences. That lately I read a novel by Shakespeare. So before choosing the right form of verb, you have to be cautious. You have to read the sentence again and again to understand the situation. If you don't understand the situation, you will never be able to choose the correct form of the verb. So here there is a word lately, and you have to know the meaning of this word. Lately represents that the work which has been done, it is happened or it has been happened very recently. So in that situation, the meaning of that sentence is lately, recently, I read a novel by Shakespeare. It means that a novel which is written by Shakespeare, I have read it. So the word lately, it is a signal word of the present perfect tense that the action, though the action is over, but the effect is still present. So in that situation, we have to use present perfect tense. And the sentence structure of the present perfect tense is that we have to use an auxiliary verb has or have considering the subject. Then we have to write the third form of verb. So in that situation, what will be the answer? Now think of it. Okay. And now look at the second sentence. You ever hear the name of Shakespeare? And just look at the last state of the sentence. There is a mark, question mark, and here the question mark, but at the beginning of the sentence there is no word or signal words for interrogative sentence. So in that situation, your first duty is to transform the sentence into assertive form. Then you have to transform the sentence into interrogative form. So there is a word ever, and ever is a signal word of present perfect tense. It indicates that the sentence should be written in present perfect tense. So we know that after you we have to write have, and then the first participle of here is heard. So you ever or you have ever heard the name of Shakespeare? So the sentence will be should be transformed into interrogative form by taking have at the front line. So in that situation, the sentence, what will be the format? Have you ever heard the name of Shakespeare? So in that situation, the sentence will be the first sentence. Lately, I have read a novel by Shakespeare, and the second sentence will be already I have told you. Have you ever heard the name of Shakespeare? So, my dear students, while choosing the right form verb, you have to monitor the sentence attentively. That is it in interrogative form or in other form, or sometimes you have to transform the sentence into passive form as well to make the sense, to make the meaning clear. Okay, my dear learners, here are some signal words of present perfect tense. Just, just now, already, yet, lately, recently. We have discussed about lately and recently. So, oh yes, there is another word, yet. Yet is used usually to make a negative sense. I mean, to represent the negative meaning of the sentence. Okay, negative sentence, and yet I not take my meal. The person is saying that though the time is over, but the time is over, but he has not taken his meal. So in that situation, he will say, yet I have not taken my meal. In present perfect tense, we use has usually after third person. If the subject is third person singular number, we use has. In other sense, first person or third person, after the first person or second person, I mean first person is I or we, and second person you. After these words, we use have. Okay, dear students, look at these sentences and think of what form of the verb will be there within the bracket. You must turn in your assignment on time. First sentence. Second sentence, I need not go to the supermarket as we are going to the restaurant tonight. And the third sentence is lost time cannot recover by any means. So the first two sentences is of one type. As look at these sentences, you must turn, so the subject is you, and the person or the subject must turn means the subject has to turn, he or she has to turn in his or her assignment on time. So this is the active voice. Second sentence, I need not go to the supermarket. Go is the action verb, and the verb, the action, it is done by the subject. Subject is also at the front side, on the front side, and this, so here it is also active voice. But the third sentence, lost time cannot recover by any means. If you look at the sentence attentively, you will get that there is no subject in this sentence. I mean, yes, lost time cannot. So this is object. Lost time cannot and recover by all means. So this sentence does not give any condition of active voice. This is completely passive voice. So my dear students, I have already told you that before choosing the right form of verb, you have to read the sentence carefully, whether it is active voice or not. You have to think of it, whether it is as imperative sentence or interrogative sentence. So, and then the third point is that if you look at the sentences, the first sentence there you will get must, second sentence there is a word need, and the third sentence there is another word can. So these words are actually auxiliary verb, but specifically they are labeled as modal auxiliary verb. They are labeled as modal auxiliary verb. So what will be the answer? It is told that after inactive voice after the modal auxiliary verb there will be another principal verb, and that verb should be written in a base form. I mean, the turn will remain turn as it is, and the go will remain go as it is. So the answer will be you must turn in, and second sentence will be I need not go, and the third sentence cannot. So what will be the answer? It is told that after modal auxiliary verb, if it is in passive form, you have to use another one, that be. You have to add v, then you have to write the verb, the past participle form of the verb. So the third sentence will be lost time cannot be recovered by any means. So this is the list of some modal auxiliary verbs. This is written in a rhythmic way, that shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might. Shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might. Must, need, dare, has to, have to, then also infinitive too. So these are the forms, these are the modal auxiliary verbs. You have to remember that after modal auxiliary verb there always will be the base form of the main verb, and if it is written in passive form, of course you have to add be, then you have to write the third form of the verb. Oh students, look at this picture. There are some vacant chairs. No people is there, no student is there. And the teacher asked if we had studied for the exam. And you know, in the bracket we see the word study. And before the bracket there is the word had. Okay, fine. Okay, now go to the second sentence. The bus had just leave when we got to the stop. The bus had just leave when we got to the stop. Okay, then this is also there is a word leave, and before the word leave there is a word had. Fine. So sometimes you may get some sentences that you may face to understand the meaning of that sentence. Even if you don't understand the meaning of that sentence, you will be able to put the right form of the verb just through looking the other auxiliary verbs. For example, here are auxiliary verbs. At the first sentence there is a had, second sentence is also had. So it is told that there are some auxiliary verbs. After those auxiliary verbs, always you have to write the past participle form of the verb. So the right answer will be, the teacher asked if we had, and the had is for after had, this auxiliary verb. If you get some other principal verb, of course you have to write it in first participle form, studied. And then look at the second sentence, had, and it was the leave, and of course you have to write the third form of the verb leave, that is left. The bus had just left. Now you may ask me that is there any other auxiliary verbs? After those verbs we have to write the third form of the verb. Yes, look at this list. Have, if you get have in any sentence, or has or had in any sentence, then after these verbs, if any other verb, for example do, there is a verb do, then if you get have, has, had before do, of course you have to write, you have to transform the do into done, because done is the third form or past participle form of do. Not only have, has, had, there are other words also. For example, would have, might have, could have, shall have, will have. So after these words, you have to write the third form of the verb. Okay, and I hope you will memorize these auxiliary verbs. And of course, you have to memorize the list of modal auxiliary verbs. We have already told that after modal auxiliary verbs, we have to put the base form of the verbs. But after these auxiliary verbs, you have to write the past participle form of the verb. Okay. Now look at this one. There is a tiger. Maybe it is a dad, and it is killed by someone. This girl, and there's a gun in her hand. And then you might face these types of sentences in your exam. For example, the lion killed by the hunter. I have already told you before choosing the correct form of the verb, you have to think of it that whether it is in active form or passive form. The lion killed by the hunter. By the hunter. So here there is a word by. So just to see this word, we can understand that the hunter, it is the duty of the hunter to kill the lion. So the lion doesn't kill the hunter. Or here in this sentence, the lion doesn't kill the hunter. Actually, the lion is killed by the hunter. So you have to understand the meaning. So this is the in passive form. And of course, in that type, you may face that, sir, now what types of passive tense, passive form I will write, because I can use present indefinite or I can use past indefinite. In that situation, in general situation, you will of course write the sentence in present indefinite tense. So you will write that lion is killed by the hunter. And the second sentence, okay, here computer invent overnight. Computer invent, it is created, someone invented. So computer invent overnight. Computer doesn't invent itself. Computer is invented by someone. Okay, so it of course we should write these types of sentence in passive form. But the problem is that you have to understand the meaning. Here computer invent overnight. If you write that computer is invented overnight, do you know what the meaning will be? Is it true that only in one night computer is invented? No. It has taken lots of years to invent a computer. So here the meaning, of course the meaning will be, or the sentence, of course it must be written in negative sentence. I mean, computer is not invented overnight. So my dear students, so look at this sentence. You have to understand the meaning before correcting the word. So computer is not invented overnight. So as I have already said, the lion is killed by the hunter, and the computer is not invented overnight. Okay, now look at this sentence. There is a man, and he is also taking an umbrella. Maybe it is raining. So you had better take an umbrella, or you will get wet. First of all, had better. So there is a abridged form of had, D, had better. I have told you, if you look or if you get anywhere is auxiliary verb, has, have, had, of course you have to write the second principal verb into first participle form. But in that situation, this is not okay. It is totally different. I mean, had better. It is actually, though it is visible in two way, I mean in two syllable, I mean in two words, but it actually represents the similar meaning of should. You should take an umbrella, or otherwise you will get wet. So we know that after should is a modal auxiliary verb, and after should, we of course we have to write the base form. So if we use the base form after should, then we of course we have to use the base form after had better. So as the meaning of had better is very similar to should, so in that situation we have to keep the take as it was, I mean in base form. So the correct answer will be you had better take an umbrella, or otherwise you will get wet as it is raining. Okay. The second sentence is she would rather play tennis than sit here. If you get the two options, two action, and if someone says you that this is better than doing other thing, in that situation, if there is something compare or contrast, or is any suggestion to do something then doing other thing, in that situation you will use would rather dot dot then. Would rather, she would rather, and then another conjunction then. So after these two words, these two words, you have to use the base form of the principal verb. Look at this, would rather. After that we get play, and in that situation the correct form also will be play, I mean base form, and then after then the sit will remain sit as it is. I mean we have to write the base form, and the base form of the sit is sit. So here she would rather play tennis than sit here. I mean it is better for her to play tennis than sit there or here. So we have to understand that would rather, and then after these words we have to write the base form of the verb. Yeah. Okay, these the words had better, had rather, would better, would rather, and late. After these words or phrases, we have to use the base form of the verb. Okay, thank you, my dear students. Today our second class. I think in our third class we will also discuss about the right form of verb, and in that class we shall discuss some other important topics. Until then, Allah Hafiz.